so much for that. Now, he served under the late Mwai Kibaki as vice president, coming out of a tumultuous election that resulted in the 2007-2008 post-election violence, which claimed more than 1,300 lives. Until the late Kofi Annan initiated reconciliation that birthed the Grand Coalition government, with Kibaki as president, Kalonzo Musyoka as vice president, and ODM leader Raila Odinga as prime minister. Now, the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, hails his former boss as a tolerant and selfless leader and says their chemistry was perfect. Chimtai Goin sat down with Kalonzo Musyoka on his reflections on the former president.
I was privileged to serve him as his vice president and our country's 10th vice president. And I found him, Kibaki, a phenomenal personality. You will not go to Kibaki with rumors. No. He will look at you and call you Pumbafu. So, no, that was Kibaki. And I think that is a high academic calling in him. Yeah, that you don't discuss, great minds don't discuss people. They discuss ideas. I think Kibaki lived that saying. He meant well for this country. So, but he didn't want anything named after him. I could not understand why. Because as his vice president, on the advice of the head of public service, Ambassador Mudhaura, comes and tells me, this spectacular piece of infrastructure, we should convince Kibaki to accept it to be named Kibaki Superhighway. We went and had a cup of tea with Kibaki in his Arambe House office. And at the opportune time, I introduced a subject. He looked at me and said, Vice President, na huko hii barabara inaenda, hakuna jina. That was the end of the discussion up to today. Yes. So Thika is a Thika superhighway. Kibaki did not want, it's the truest example I can think of a servant leader. You put service above self. We could all see he had health challenges. So as his vice president, that was my #1 preoccupation, to make sure that what Kibaki must do is he does it in relative calm and peace of mind, not causing him stress. So I never caused Kibaki any stress. In fact, we were so happy at the end of it, before he left office, he got out of his bakora and drove. We were going to plant trees in Kitui, stopped by in Machakos. And Kibaki there issued a statement. He said, huyu vice president amenisaidia sana. Sasa munisaidie tumweke hapo juu. So that was an endorsement. Hey, by midnight, the newsrooms were ordered to remove that endorsement.
What was the relationship between the then vice president and the president?
The chemistry was absolutely correct. As I said, I can't remember a day when Kibaki would call and say, what is this I hear, or whatever. No, we're very professional. We worked in a working government. It really was. And then when, of course, we were joined by Prime Minister Raila Odinga, the success of the Grand Coalition government, which was the first ever in Africa, was something we should all revisit. Me, I'm a negotiator. And if anybody needs me to negotiate a peaceful transition of President Uhuru Kenyatta, I'm ready, in memory of Mzee Kibaki.
Yeah. Some ask, do you regret contesting in that election, because they say the number of votes you got is what possibly denied either of the two, the +1?
Why would I regret my political rights? You have a political right to run for president, okay? And just in case they think they were right, that's why I've said this time, because of the heat in the country, okay? Let me support Raila a third time, so that I can appease those kinds of, I think, negative forces. We want to mourn Mzee Kibaki with a sense of decency and purpose. He's one of our greatest leaders, not just in this country, but in the region. From the moment he got to know you are a corrupt individual, he showed you the way. Do you remember he sacked the Home Minister for Agriculture because of corruption? Yes, in the Grand Coalition. A Home Minister got fired. I don't remember Kibaki firing people. Mzee Mwai would fire quite a few. Yes. But Kibaki, if he's firing you, it must be beyond reasonable doubt that you are in these things.
What qualities of Kibaki should be emulated?
Tolerance. You see, Kibaki was tolerant to the, to the core. Because imagine the very difficult political atmosphere following the post-election violence and almost imposed discussions by the international community, and then the same Kibaki 1 year after that. You could not tell whether this is Raila was running against Kibaki, whether this is Kalonzo was running against Kibaki. It made everybody feel important. You know, it's very important to leaders to appreciate the worth in other leaders. That was Kibaki. He would appreciate everybody's abilities. And so I think we'll miss Kibaki, we'll miss him. I personally miss him. Because if we had that level of tolerance, we wouldn't even be hating each other and saying in printable sometimes things. Yeah.